Start in 1 minute.
Okay.
All right, it's 9 a.m. Good morning, everyone. Everyone who's tuning to our FB page here at MLAC Institute. So welcome to our FB Live event, our conversation on how can we protect our children from violence. But before that, we would like to announce that we have an upcoming event which we wish you can all go to. So this is our annual Parenting Academy. So we do this every year. We give talks about parenting and relevant topics every year. So for this year, the title is Let's Protect Our Children's Mental Health, How to Prevent Violence in Our Families, Schools, and Communities. A very relevant topic nowadays, especially with all the things going on in the news. So make sure to save the date. It's on September 5, Saturday. That's from 9 to 11:30 a.m. This is at the Mind Museum, BGC Taguig. And this event is co-presented by the Mind Museum. So thank you also to the Mind Museum. So more details will be posted soon, but please save the date already if you're interested to join us. And before we start with our conversation, aside from that, we also have an exciting announcement about a contest that we will be holding in relation to the Parenting Academy event. So we will actually have a poster making event, a poster making contest. And what are the mechanics of this? Well, first, the question that we would like to ask you is, how do you nurture peace and harmony at home and in your school? And how do you protect yourself and others from family, school, and online violence? So you can choose between those two possible questions, or if you can put it in one poster, that would be great as well. So I'll just read the mechanics. So join us in our campaign to promote peaceful home and school environments. To kickstart this year's Parenting Academy 12, MLAC is holding a poster making contest for kids and adolescents aged 7 to 20 years old. And 3 winners will get 3 free tickets. So 2 adults and 1 child. To MLAC's Parenting Academy 12 to be held at the Mind Museum on September 5, 2026. Winning entries will also be posted in MLAC's social media accounts. We look forward to receiving your entries soon. The mechanics are, number 1, this contest is open to youth aged 7 to 20 years old. So we really want to hear from the youth. Number 2, use these questions as prompts in creating your poster. Again, the questions are, how do you nurture peace and harmony at home and in your school? And or how do you protect yourself and others from family, school, and online violence? Number 3, you may use either 2-dimensional visual arts media, meaning either watercolor, oil, acrylic, or digital arts media using Procreate, Sketchbook, and other platforms to create your original work. So each contestant is allowed to submit only 1 entry. Please write your name, age, the title of your poster, and a brief explanation of the poster, along with the artwork as an attachment. So send your poster to this email address, info@mlacinstitute.org, with the subject heading MLAC Poster Making Contest. So make sure that the image you submit has a clear resolution. The deadline for submission of entries is on August 15. 3 contest winners will be announced on August 17 through MLAC's social media accounts. So winners' creations will be shared across our social media accounts and on Parenting Academy 12 on September 5. So we're very excited to see what you come up with. And of course, excited to see you at the Parenting Academy event on September 5. So stay tuned. Also, just keep checking our FB page for the details. If you missed all that, don't worry. We will be posting the details as well. So see you there. All
Nice.
right. Yes. And now on to our main event, which is our FB Live. And our question for today is, how can we protect our children from violence? Of course, with me is my mom, Dr. Honey Karandang, who is our mentor and founder here at MLAC Institute. Okay.
Morning, Chris.
Good morning, Mom. Good morning to
Morning,
everyone
everyone.
tuning in. Of course, this
Thanks
will
for
be
tuning
recorded.
in.
Yes,
Okay.
and this will be recorded and uploaded to our Facebook page, but we will also upload it to our YouTube
YouTube.
page
Okay.
as well. So if you're busy right now, don't worry. You can watch this later on. All right. So this question, I think, very relevant nowadays. How can we protect our children from violence? And just to give a background, as we all know, there are a lot of alarming news online. A lot of troubling, alarming news. In the past, no, maybe years ago, we would hear news about something like school shootings, and it's something that's quite common to hear happening, let's say, in the US or somewhere else. But alarmingly, for the first time, and maybe publicized in a nationwide, no, is the Tacloban school shooting. So this is very alarming, and I believe it was also followed by other news regarding some violence happening in school. So, for example, a student who hit his teacher, and then also there have been some attempts similar to the Tacloban school shooting, but some were prevented. But it is quite alarming, Mom, to hear about this now, no? And I don't know why has it come to the Philippines? Why are there so much news about this now? And that's why we really want to ask, how can we protect our children from violence?
Yes, a very timely and necessary topic. I think that should be in the conversations of people now, because I was shocked and disturbed, very disturbed, because bakit nangyayari na to sa atin when our culture, we're known to be warm and caring, friendly people, and suddenly students, no, young people are doing violence. That was very, very disturbing, and also somewhat imitating what they see in the news, uh, especially in the US, and that's a known fact. No? So I think we need to look at many things. By the prevalence of violence now in our country, no, is really, as you said, alarming. We have to look at how it is in the big picture. I think what is happening in society that is being witnessed by young people and old people, that's coming out in the news and in the social media. So that's a very, very big thing. Now, what is happening in society? Now, what is happening in society is, of course, impacting on for example, in the schools, the families, and of course, the individual people, not children, the young children. So it's like a whole picture of violence on all layers of society. So it's kind of difficult to even grasp it or accept it, but I think we have to look at it squarely and see what's happening. Maybe we'll start with that, because I think to understand any event, we have to look at the context always in which it's happening. So in society, we know what's happening all over the news, whatever the station you turn on, you will see um, well, conversations about shooting, about people talking to each other with a lot of no respect, with words that were not used before, words that I'm not even used to, that are very insulting, assaulting the dignity of the human dignity is assaulted. Respect seems to be out of the out of the window, and truth is also set aside. And I think we should not be getting used to lies, because lying has become somewhat normalized. Very disturbing, no? Among people who are supposed to be our role models. I think that's very disturbing to society. Then we go down. How does that filter down? Because as we say, the family is the burden carrier of the social order. In other words, what's happening in society impacts on the family. And the family is a system. So how are we now? How is this violence creeping in or happening in the family? I think there are many things we can talk about there. In terms of family relationships, in terms of harsh discipline, in terms of just actually bullying in the family happens. So, and then of course, oh, by the way, school, society first. So sorry, the school comes next, and that's where the focus is now, because the news of the shooting has become really alarming and disturbing, and many people are weighing in on what that's all about. We'll talk about that later. Then after the school, the family, and the family, of course, is I would say, in spite of all the influences in society, the family is still the strongest, most influential social unit, or most powerful social unit that one can ever belong to, because it starts very early. The roots of violence, for example, the roots of habits that we see are all happening or starts in the family. So I think we also need to look at that. That's why our MLAC flagship program is Parenting is Nation Building, because parenting affects our nation in the very, very big way. And we have to look at that so that we empower what is right in our families, because it's still one of the strongest, deepest, earliest, most primary influence that we ever have in our lives. And of course, the family is made up of individuals. So you have the parents. It's very, very important. The parents are really the key in many of the values that we have formed in our society, and we look at that. And then of course we cannot also say that just the parents, because we also look at the children, the young people, how the parents or the family, the society impacts on them in terms of values, in terms of violence, as we're talking about. But also we must not forget that there's also a way of helping children self-regulate. There's also a way that children can be empowered and not just victims of the societal impact of society. Okay, I think I'd like to say that first, just to frame it in the most complete picture possible. Of course, the world, it's not just our society, it's not just our country. The world is full of violence. Okay, that I'd
Yes,
like to
thank
say.
you. Yes, thank you for setting this up for us. No? Kasi, well, you really emphasize the importance of looking at the context and the big picture. No?
Mhm.
I feel that that's very important right now, kasi the tendency, and maybe it's out of panic or anxiety or fear, no? When we hear these kinds of news, is to kind of, we want to pinpoint one thing. We want to blame one thing. Pero you've made it very clear, hindi pwedeng isang factor lang to. Hindi pwedeng i-blame lang ang online games or isang bagay lang. No? So parang it's taken as a whole. Maybe that's a very important point to emphasize. We cannot blame just one thing. We have to look at the whole context.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me zero in, since you mentioned that, of course, MLAC's whole mission has to do with parenting is nation building. So maybe we can zero in on the family. Within
Okay.
the family and within the family control area, what do you think are the contributing factors to the seemingly increase in violence that's happening nowadays that involve our children?
Yeah. First of all, the family is also subjected to so much difficulty, so much challenge, so many challenges right now, no? So the social media, how do you control it? How do you regulate it? And relationship, of course, the most primary is the relationship between the parents and the children, and the relationship between the father and the mother, and maybe other adults, maybe tita who lives in the family. The living unit is very, very important. No? So in the family, you have the children, you have the parents, you may have the grandparents, the tita, or maybe the kasambahay. I think that whole system is very, very important in looking at how families are affected by the violence, or what happens in families in terms of violence. I don't know. What comes to mind now is the word bullying, and two
Okay.
things: discipline and bullying.
Okay.
Because discipline is how we discipline or not discipline is probably one of the roots of the seeds of violence that may be planted already early in the family. How the parents punish, maybe harshly, or how the parents talk to their children when the children have done something wrong. The communication, the respect in the family, the values we hold dear in the family: respect for elders, communication, mutual, sharing, etc. It seems to be parang nawawala, or lessening, nawawala. Maybe people are busy, very busy, or maybe there's so much to deal with that the first thing that suffers is the people closest to you. So you deal with outside things that are impinging on you. You may take your family for granted. That's one. Many things happen in the family, but there's also bullying in the family, which may not be talked about as it should be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you say bullying in the family, how does this happen? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think I'd like to elaborate on that. No, first of all, there is parents bullying the children, and the children bullying the parents. It also happens. No, and then the spouse, father bullying the mother, mother bullying the father, and there is such a thing as in one of my cases, one but many others. I pinpointed that the person who was referred to me was so affected that he was not able to assert himself, would not speak, had some kind of inferiority feelings because there was sibling bullying. I think that's not discussed often, and that's very, 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 very important factor that may be the factor that's happening in the family, but it's not discussed. Sibling bullying.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe it's good that you're bringing it up now, that it's a reality. It's something that
It
happens.
is, yes.
Yeah. Just to clarify, and I know this is a whole topic altogether in a talk, pero how would, just in general lang, how would you define bullying?
Yeah, good. Yeah. I think we should start with that because people talk about bullying, I was bullied, etc. But I don't think we really understand the dynamics and the nuances of bullying. First of all, what is bullying? I think we all know that bullying is having power, but it's not just claiming power or using your power. But it's not just using your power, most important of all, using your power over another person. That's the important definition, because you have the one who's bullying, you have to have a person who is being bullied. Otherwise, there will be no bullying. So there is the bully, the bullied, and I'd like to introduce a concept, another part of that system. Bullying is a system, no? Another part of the system that's not talked about, or maybe people are not aware. The system of bullying consists of the bully, the bullied, and the bystander. In schools, for example, this is so relevant because when there are bullies in the school, the person being bullied, of course, is suffering. The bully is very powerful over that bully because the bully can smell a person whom perceives to be less powerful than he is or she is. That's the dynamics of it. The bully has to perceive the victim or the bullied as less powerful. And very interestingly, the bully now, if he encounters a person who is more powerful, starts to be submissive. I don't know if I'll bring this up, but it reminds me of what I call national bullying. No? For example, if we had a leader who was bullying people. Let's say the reporter was being criticized and insulted. The power of the leader was so strong that everybody was living in fear of being killed, being bullied, etc., because the power is held tightly by this leader. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is when this leader encountered another leader in another country that seemed to be stronger, he bowed down to this person. That's the other important dynamics in bullying. The bully is afraid of a perceived stronger person and becomes submissive and totally under the power of this person. I think that the layer of bullying explains it. It's a very important thing to understand bullying.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you were saying that about from the
National
national
bullying and
uh,
international bullying, there is.
yeah. Actually, we have a comment here. Maybe I can mention it from, I hope I say this right, Moses Judah Benher. Sabi niya, violent behavior and or tendency has been normalized when Duterte tragically became president via his mouth, his behavior, his commands, etc. And now his daughter and son announcing publicly about killing people or beheading someone. Public figures doing that in public. So negative role models.
Wow, you said it, but you said it from my mouth. I was gonna say that. Perfect. Yes, we should bring that up. I mean, squarely and truthfully, no? Because it's a truth that killing has been normalized. In fact, you're proud to say that kill everybody. It feels like kill. So it's like killing is normal. I mean, it's okay because role models that we're supposed to look up to are doing it. Even if in your mind, as an older person, you know that that's not what you should imitate. As a younger person, your critical thinking is not yet that developed. So even if you are told and you feel that it's not good, there is a part of you that absorbs that because the young people up to adolescents have a need and it's a good thing if done well. They have a need to look up to role models that they can emulate. They look for people they can look up to and they can emulate. And that's kind of like a common thing.
Okay. So it's a very powerful message, no? If you hear it
Yes.
from a leader that most people elected, no? Na parang if that person can do it, then why can't I?
Yeah. Why can't I?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Good
Okay.
point. Thank you.
Maybe we can relate that to your earlier you mentioned there are two things about the family in particular that you wanted to bring up. So bullying, but also discipline. After the news about the Tacloban shooting, I also saw this news about a senator saying na ang kulang kasi ngayon is tough love. So I feel that that's very much related to discipline, but on the topic of discipline.
Right.
So how do you connect the way that we are disciplined in our families to what's happening now? Is it connected, yung violence that we're seeing from these young kids now and the way that they were disciplined? Do you think it's connected?
Yes, I think definitely it's connected. Maybe it's not the whole thing, but it's a big part of what's happening now. How these children can do something like that. Aside from societal factors, what are their experiences within the family? So let's say harsh punishment. When you punish your children in a way that humiliates them, disrespects them, violates their dignity, that has a long-term effect on the child. The child carries that resentment, hostility, carries it in them. And there must be a way or some factors that lessen it or mitigate it later on, but still it's there. And it has as I said, long-term effect. It's not just during their childhood, because the resentment especially is anger that's turned inward or quiet anger that simmers inside the person. So when that resentment is there's already a factor that is part of how you will relate to other people. The resentment brings kind of hostility, brings negative, might even bring bullying. You might even bully someone, people because of that. So I think that harsh punishment, which is humiliating, affecting the dignity of the child, is not right. I'll say it very clearly. We can discipline without humiliating. We can discipline without being harsh and shouting and being violent, actually, in our discipline, because we can discipline very, very effectively without being violent. We can be very, very firm because we are clear and we have conviction that we have to do it. We can be very, very clear, very, very firm, not necessarily have to shout. Because I don't know if I'll bring this up, but it's hard to explain. But I have a paper called The Power of Compassionate Discipline. It's misread, it's misunderstood, because when you say passionate, sasabihin, ay malambot. Malambot yan, hindi yan effective. But disciplining with dignity and compassion is more powerful in the long run than disciplining with humiliation and violation of dignity. Why do I say that? Because when you discipline with care, not with anger, hostility, harshness, and humiliation, the child absorbs it more deeply and doesn't have some kind of negative reaction that is built inside, that is developed inside the child. So the dynamics is very different. When you discipline with care, you have to discipline with firmness. The most important thing about discipline that is effective is you are firm. You can be firm by whispering. You don't have to shout. I don't know if I should give my example.
Sure.
Personal.
Yes.
Sorry, always comes to my personal example. This I have 3 kids. Chris is one of them. Well, he's not the one, but never mind. It doesn't matter who it is. It's not a good, bad thing. So one of my kids, there's a rule that on Fridays you're not supposed to go out and bring the car, use the car rather. So that's very, very clear. Then one day there were some people with me, and then my son comes in and says from afar, across the room, Mom, I'm gonna use the car tonight. Of course, when you're a parent and you're busy talking to some people, you may nod your head, and it happened to me. They nod your head, and then the child, you said yes, I did, but that's not the story. So instead of shouting back at him, I told him, come closer, sit beside me, put your ear near my mouth, and I said in a whisper, but very, very firm tone, absolutely not. And he said, got the message. Hindi ka makakalusot. But I didn't assault his dignity. I mean, I didn't insult him. I didn't even shout. I didn't even raise my voice. But it was so firm, so clear. The tone was had so much conviction that he got it. Yeah. That's just an example.
Yeah, it's always a great example, no? Kasi parang mayroon pa rin sigurong misconception about discipline, na kapag discipline, well, number 1, it's always punishment. Pangalawa, baka yung sinasabing tough love na parang kulang, parang kailangan may dating na kailangan harsh, no? But what you're saying, it's great to hear that you're distinguishing the difference, no? Na hindi actually kailangan harsh.
Yes.
Pero pwedeng maging firm.
Yes.
So there's a difference between being firm, but not harsh.
Yes, yes. We have a misconception about that, especially for us old people, my generation. Parang tough love. I mean, anuhin mo yan, paluin mo yan, sigawan mo yan, mas effective ka. I counter that. I don't believe it. In my 50-some years of experience working with families, that leads to many other consequences. The child gets rebellious. The child rebels with a vengeance, and then the child feels resentment, and eventually the child might even lose respect for the parent who is very, very authoritarian, does not listen, just imposes his will, and that's what it should be. Children these days are more knowledgeable. I have a book called The Wisdom. In a book I talked about listening to the wisdom of children. see, in our society, it's getting better now, but children, hindi ba, should not be heard. They should not, when visitors are there, magtago na kayo.
Bata lang yan. Ganun.
Tapos bata lang yan, wala pa yung alam. Very, very common misconception. Because if you listen to children, they can really teach you. Another example comes to mind. Personal pa rin, okay ba?
Yes, please.
I always say this. People who know me might already know it, but I think it's worth saying in this context. So there was a mother who was a teacher, so she was reading a thesis, and then the 2.5-year-old boy came to her and put his dirty shoe on the bed. The mother looked at him and then continued to read the thesis. Then the child got the other shoe, dirty shoe, and put it on the bed and scratched it. And, Mom, you have to scold me. Pagalitan mo ko. Of course, the first instinct you have as a mother is, ano ba, marunong ka pa sa akin? And fortunately, I was already practicing mindfulness then, so I said, I'm not being consistent. I told him they should not put the shoe on the bed, and then now he puts it and I'm not saying anything. I'm not doing my job as a mother, because when a child hears something that you should not do, and then he does it again and you don't say it, you're not consistent, the child does not absorb it. And then, as Erickson would say, if you say it consistently, the child absorbs it until he can become his own parent. In other words, internalizes it. So what I said was, fortunately, I paused and not impulsively say what I wanted to say, which is very important in parenting. So I said, never put your dirty shoe on the bed. And he was happy. My mom is being consistent. She's doing her job. I think at this point, I'd like to mention how discipline can be effective. What are the elements of discipline that can make it effective? Is that okay?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay. There are 5 C's or 6 C's, as you might. The first C of discipline is very, very important. Before you do anything, before you implement anything, you have to have conviction. What is that? You have to be very, very sure, no doubt, that this rule is important and has to be implemented. That conviction is coming from inside you as a parent or an adult or a CEO, whatever. The conviction must come from inside you, because when you have conviction and you say something, it comes across that you mean business. Children, young people, employees, everybody whom you are implementing disciplinary rule can see, can absorb, can smell tentativeness, no? When you are not clear, you are not firm, because you don't have the conviction. So first, it comes from inside you. I'm very sure I have to implement this because it's for the good of my child, and it's very, very important that she learns it. So with that conviction, you're able to be firm and clear and emphatic. Okay, that's just one. The second is, it has to be clear. How does the child understand it? Do the people understand the law that is being implemented on a larger scale? Apply to a larger scale? Do the people in general, mga taong bayan, naintindihan ba nila yung law na yan na dapat din gawin? Has it been formulated publicly, clearly understood? Number 2. Number 3, consistency. Ito yung kulang tayo. Consistency means when a behavior is committed by a person of whatever status, you say it's wrong. Okay, you call it and say it's wrong. You punish the person or do something. And also, when the same behavior is committed by a person of a higher status or somebody else, you should implement the same consequence. Because then consistency means you not only that you say it all the time when the wrong behavior is done, so you correct it, but also that you are fair. Consistency also is kind of a justice issue. You punish this person because the poor person stole bread from the grocery, but you don't punish this high status person who stole millions from the treasury. You see, that's very stark. That's happening right now. We don't have that consistency that translates to fairness and justice. And of course, the next one is consequence. I think that's where we really, in our society, really lack the consequence. No? So you steal millions and you get away with it. You kill somebody and you get away with it. You say some really bad things and really dangerous things in public and you get away with it. So what is that message to the whole mass of people? Ako na rin kasi hindi naman mapapunish eh. Bakit sayang naman? Ako na rin gagaya na ako. Kuha na rin ako ng millions. Hindi naman napapunish. Ano pang magagawin ko? So the consequence, I think we really, I can say it bravely, that in our country, we don't have the right, we don't implement the consequence of wrong behavior in general. That's why it is called the culture of impunity. And that one is another role model for young children to see, no? Young children, even not young, no, the older people who follow this kind of behavior, there are many of them. When the boss steals millions, they steal billions, and everybody's doing it and nobody's punished. Wow, that's fantastic. I'll do it. That's human. But the consequence is not there. And I think when I was talking to a person in Singapore, they said that the discipline of Singapore Singapore has attained now as a nation is because they really implemented consequences all the time. Even among taxi drivers that you talk to, they always talk about, kasi hindi na nakakalimutan ibigay yung consequence pag meron smoking and gano'n. Marami talagang, even small things and big things, consequences happens when the bad behavior or wrong behavior is done. It's so clear. In the family, it's so clear too. You know, you punish your older child, but the young one, you just let them go. Kasi bata pa. It's okay, kawawa naman. You know, sometimes we have that pagbigyan mo na lang. Or in our families, going back to micro family, pinagtatakpan. We have that way, no? For example, yung harsh yung father, then the boy does something or the girl does something wrong, sasabihin sa mother, huwag na lang natin sabihin kay tatay kasi kawawa ka naman, baka mapunish. So, that is so simple, but it gives a very strong message, pinagtatakpan. And that pinagtatakpan is happening so clearly, so obviously in our country right now, in the government, and maybe even in private sectors. So, and the last, of course, is care. We discipline not because we're angry, not because of our issues of childhood that we have not resolved and we want to just get back and be angry and shout because we have found the authority, because when the authority was our parents did to us. So now we shout and harshly punish our children. That's another factor. There's the intergenerational pattern that we absorb, no? So when we shout at our children, shout, and we punish them harshly, they, of course, I said earlier, absorb it because they don't feel the care. They feel the anger. They feel the humiliation. They feel something that there's something really that hit in them, emotion that is negative, no? Maybe anger nga, resentment, revenge, etc. later on. So I think we have to put that all together and we can discipline without being harsh and violent. Because the discipline harshly and violently is the roots. You see planting the roots of violence already by just doing that kind of humiliating, assaulting kind of punishment. Of course, we have to punish in the sense that every behavior must have a consequence. But wrong behavior has a negative consequence, so it's called punishment. Maybe you deprive them of their playtime or their TV time, whatever, or whatever else they cannot play with their favorite toy. Something. There's always a consequence, and it's also important to point out that good behavior must also have a consequence when you affirm the child. That's something that's not being talked about, how you punish, how you could discipline. We always talk about discipline as correcting something that is wrong. But I think we forget that discipline is also affirming something that has been done right. So there is also the balancing. And when you affirm a child's behavior, the child feels good. It's easier for the child to absorb behavior that you punish because it's wrong. So there is a balance. I think that's important. And I think we need to do more of that on a larger scale. The family, of course, and then the school. Well, I've not talked about the school, no? Where the
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, yeah. Well, before we go there, I
Okay.
just wanted to summarize what you mentioned. I think it's so crucial to highlight the 6 C's of discipline that you mentioned. That's
Mhm.
conviction, clarity, consistency, consequence, care, and you indirectly mentioned also communication as
Communication.
well.
Yeah.
So these 6, so ang daming ingredients to discipline, pati yung affirming, na
Mm-mm.
parang napaka simple pala ng pagkaintindi minsan sa discipline na ano lang, parusahan, you know.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah.
Pero ang daming kailangan magandang maging mas aware tayo about the other elements of discipline, what makes it effective and not.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
What makes it effective and not harming the
Yeah.
feelings and the worth of the
nga.
person. Mm-mm.
In fact, going back to what you said earlier na may bullying rin sa family, would you say na harsh punishment can be seen as a form of bullying na rin?
I think so. Because where is it coming from? When you're very harsh and violent towards your child, it's coming from inside you. Example, you were maybe you were bullied before, but just present lang. You come from work and then you had experienced a very rough day. You fought with a colleague. The boss was really not that pleased with you. The traffic was so bad. So you have all these stresses inside you. You enter your house and then your son, let's say, suddenly spills water on the carpet, and your anger just just what's this erupts on the child, and you punish the child so harshly, not knowing that only 10% of the behavior that caused you to punish the child was just 10% of the whole picture, because 90 or 80% of what you came out with as very, very harsh punishing the child for as something minor comes from inside you. So I think we need to look at what is mindful parenting. Mindful parenting, you're aware that, wait, I'm very angry. I mean, I want to like punch somebody and shout. Wait, I won't discipline my child first. I'll go and wash my hands, wash my face, change my clothes, pause, so that I don't pour all my unresolved or my present anger, resentment, humiliation inside me, and stress inside me to the child. It's a very unconscious, very, very common thing. That's why I'm bringing it up. You can prevent that kind of violent. I will call it violent because it's first of all unjust. Because so yun.
Oo nga, it's easy to not, parang it can catch us off guard. We're all vulnerable to it if we're not aware, no, that we can actually be like bullies to our own family members, to our kids. If we don't catch it, if we're not mindful. No?
Yes, it's human, but you have to be mindful and
Mm-mm.
accept.
And if we're also not aware na everything we do, our work, the traffic we go through, the people we talk to, dala-dala natin yung pag-uwi natin, and that can influence our behavior. No? So much to be aware of and to think of. Kaya siguro nabanggit mo kanina, it's very important rin to pause.
Yeah. Be aware and pause. Simple lang naman yung pause, but we can do it as a habit. It's going to be a very good practice, mindfulness practice.
Okay. Now you mentioned this earlier, you wanted to go to school naman. So
yeah.
I do have a question about that. Is it true what they say na like bullies can were they also bullied then? Like, can bullying make a person become a bully as well?
I think so. It has happened. No?
Mm-mm.
In fact, I read a story, but not here, where a boy was being bullied in high school consistently, and he was so he couldn't fight back. he absorbed that resentment, humiliation, bullying inside him. And interestingly, when he was about an adult, 30 years old or something, he went to the house. This is so incredible. He went to the house of the person who was bullying him and set the house on fire. That's violent.
Mm-mm.
That's a case that was brought up, but wow.
Mm-mm.
What that shows you is that bullying impacts on the person in a way that person carries it inside him or her, and then it comes out maybe with a vengeance, so to speak.
Mm.
Parang
It's
ganon.
really like a cycle of violence, no? In
Yeah.
fact, a lot of the background of yung mga school shooters, like let's say yung sa States, sa Columbine, meron talagang background of being bullied as well, diba? And then in a way, they fight back, but in a violent
Yes,
way,
they
no?
keep it inside and it erupts. In fact, I don't know how true this is, but it was mentioned in one of the news reports that the Tacloban incident, that the kids who did the shooting were bullied, but I wasn't able to verify that. But I think that just brings us to what is to understand bullying in the schools and maybe how to prevent. What are ways of it? Because I think a lot of the news that was brought up is what happened in schools. And the most shocking was the one that the killing. No? But after that, there was something you said that happened. The student.
I think a teacher reprimanded a student, and then sinuntok. The student punched the teacher, and even the sibling of the student did something to hurt the teacher as well. So this was in the news, I believe.
Yes.
In Davao. So
yes, that's student bullying the teacher.
Mm-mm.
Can happen too. It can happen too. So I think the violence in schools, we have to look at it in terms of the dynamics of bullying in the school setting. No? In the school setting, when there's a bully, usually people know that he's a bully and they get out. They don't cross his path or they avoid him. The smart way to do, but sometimes you can't avoid. So what happens is the bully becomes more encouraged to bully. And there's something interesting about bullying, that when bullying happens, it kind of happens repeatedly. And also it escalates unless somebody stops it. So that's kind of the dynamics of bullying in the schools that I have seen so far. No? So when nobody stops it, it just continues, and other kids just watch, because what happens if they stop the bullying, they are the bullied. They will be bullied by this bully. And usually the bully is popular in knowing that don't cross his path. Mga ganyan, bakit huwag kang mag-ano dyan, mag-bully ka. Something like that. So what is missing there, because bullying escalates, the classmate, let's say, who witnesses the bullying will not even intervene because mabubully siya, but will not even tell the teacher, mabubully din siya. Nakakatakot. It's really kind of like, don't do anything na lang. But they're forgetting that, again, it's a system. The bullied, and the bystander. So in the school where I helped craft a bullying prevention program, we identified the three, and we made it clear that what is the role of the bystander. Actually, the bystander is the one who should stop, who has the role of doing something, whatever that is, to stop the bullying from escalating. It becomes like parang wala na magagawa doon pagka walang bystander. So usually in that school, we parang knowing that if is the student who stops it, the student is bullied. Or if the student is identified as making sombong to the teacher, he is bullied by the bully. No? So they made a policy. First of all, they made this to understand what is bullying and how its impact on people are with the students, the teachers, and the parents. So it's a whole system, village, actually, whole system, all stakeholders, so to speak, were in the program. They were oriented, they were taught what bullying is, and then they're like what to do. The school has a policy where they can anonymously report bullying, and then the one who receives the report looks into it. It's a very good system because it starts from understanding the bullied, and bystander. So we put in the bystander. It's a very important part of stopping the bullying from continuing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oo nga eh. Like, how can schools empower bystanders to
Mhm.
report bullying and maybe to feel safe? Kasi it's also normal na matakot to report, diba? Parang,
Yes.
or matakot na baka ako mabully. So, paano kaya ma-encourage, diba, yung bystander to do something?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because actually, totoo yun eh. Pagka nag-report sila, nalaman nag-report sila, sila yung next bully. That bullied, the next one to be bullied. So that's the truth eh. So nakakatakot talaga. So I think what they did is they crafted a system where the reporter, the students reporting, doesn't get identified. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And now the other thing that they did was the consciousness of the parang building a caring community, because in a caring community, bullying is very much lessened or may not happen at all. I met a boy from a school who said, in my school there's no bullying. We share our food. We have care for each other. I said, wow, that's fantastic. I better go to the school and find out how they did it. It was a long time ago, about 10 years ago. This boy is now grown up, but he was telling me about it. So caring. So building a caring community again, and the students were part of it. The students would make posters like respect each other, something like that. They invented or they crafted sayings or words, phrases with pictures, etc., with drawings on the walls, and it became like a whole system, whole school campaign, and the students were a big part of it. So I think it's something like that, to understand the phenomenon, and then you do some kind of policy intervention in the school. I think we can help schools do that, because it's preventing the violence to escalate to the point of, imagine, killing and harming another person. Yeah.
Maganda yan kasi talagang preventive, no?
Mm.
And then using the arts to
Yeah,
make more people aware about the issues of bullying and how everyone is involved, whether you or not you do anything about it, diba?
yes, they are all against it, and so they could have even songs, songs
Okay.
about it. Ang galing ng mga bata eh, when you bring out their creativity, it becomes like a very, very effective way of changing the culture, even, or promoting a culture that is more positive and more safe and caring. So yun ang bottom line.
So that's what a caring community in school looks like. Yeah. Okay. Earlier we talked a lot about discipline and punishment, particularly in the family. Ngayon, dito sa mga school shooting, no? So they're minors. What do you think is the appropriate consequence for these minors who have done such a, horrendous crime? Kasi there's also this issue nowadays that's being brought up na babaan natin yung age of yung minimum age of criminal responsibility. Do you think that's something that will solve the problem?
Definitely not. I mean, my answer is so strong because, first of all, I was part of the original crafting of the law, that prevented minors from being put in the same prison as seasoned, so to speak, adult criminals. And that's very clear. There's no debate about whether these minors put in a atmosphere where the criminals teach them all these worst things, criminal acts, and influence them, and they see everything, and they're also bullied there, also, treated there in a inhumane way, inhumane way. So there's wisdom. There's no doubt about the wisdom of separating minors from the criminals, adult criminals. But I think the question is what's the age when they can be already jailed for criminal acts? Para yun, no? So one senator said to lower, and I totally disagree. In fact, I think what should be done, there should be consequence. I'm not saying there's no consequence for the children who committed crime. There is definitely a consequence has to be very clear. And these children will be taken away from their families, but in a center. We have centers now that are doing well. I think you worked with one of them, the CICL, called CICL, Children in Conflict with the Law. Usually, when young, in the olden times, I mean, before they were called juvenile delinquents, but I think now they are called Children in Conflict with the Law, which is more appropriate, also more acceptable in a way. So they're put in a center, and then in that center, there is a program that helps them, first of all, realize what they did, that helps them do alternative behaviors. And I think you will know more about this because you did a lot of work with them. And I think that's the way, but I don't think we should lower the age of criminal liability. In fact, look at in terms of, this is not a very straight analogy, but look at Australia in terms of social media. 16 and below, no social media. Because that's the other element that we have not discussed, which is so important in promoting violence. Groups, etc. We can talk about that later. Groups that actually are created for the purpose of instilling violence, teaching children violence, and that's all extremes. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. So I think children should be given consequence. Hindi sinasabing hindi sila i-jail, therefore they get away with it. No, that's not the point. They don't get away with it. They are labeled as children who committed some crimes, and they are put in a certain place away from their family, and they know that. In fact, I did a lot of work on that for UNICEF and AusAid, Australian Aid. Just one of the metaphors of child in conflict with the law. I think he was already, how old is he? Can't remember the age, but he drew. I asked them to have metaphors and drawings because that's the best way they can express other than just words. He drew. I said, draw yourself. Yun ang instruction. Draw mo ang sarili mo. So this boy drew a gun with the roses nakapalupot dun sa gun, and then at the back is a demonyo. So gun, roses, nakapalupot, demonyo. Sabi niya, yung baril na yan, ako po yan. Pag kinain itong demonyo yung mga rosas na nakapalupot dito para maprotektahan ako, magpuputok ulit yung baril na yan, magiging demonyo ulit ako. What a powerful metaphor. What is his message? His message is that roses, sabi ko, ano yung roses? Yun daw yung mga nag-aalaga sa kanya sa center. Social workers, house parents. So what is the message? The message is, don't give up on me. Don't let yourself be eaten by the devil in me. Because the CICL, as you know, are aware that they are very difficult to rehabilitate, to change more than, let's say, the other groups. Plus, I studied 3 groups of children in conflict with the law, abused children, and sexually abused children, and substance abusing children. Anyway, to make it really clear, so these children are looking for people who will make them be better, who will prevent them from doing the acts that they did, so they're aware that they did something wrong, and that I need help in reforming. I need help in changing my behavior. Very clear. So it's the best way, rather than jail them and punish them without any kind of, reorientation or education or program. This is what's happening. So they can be they're asking to be changed. They're asking for their behavior they're asking help so that they don't do the same behavior. I think that's a very important thing to look at. So I disagree totally with the lowering the age of criminal liability.
It really does not address the whole issue, no?
Not at all.
It kind of tries to simplify it, but it's not simple.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
oversimplifying and wrongly, I think.
Ang ganda ng metaphor na na-share mo talaga kasi it shows really the recognition, yeah, like what you said, na they recognize their need for that kind of discipline, a compassionate kind of discipline.
Yes.
And it makes them feel safe. When we
Mm.
think about discipline, if we relate it only to like punishment or harsh punishment, it's not safety that comes to mind. It's fear, diba?
Right.
But
Right.
maybe true discipline is something that makes the person feel safe.
Feel safe and
Mhm.
also feel safe that they have that safety to be able to change their behavior.
Mhm.
Kasi if you put to the extreme people who kill and all that, and then you look at the psychological angle to it, they can grow up to be sociopaths, meaning people who don't have conscience and lie and kill just like that. And very dangerous, especially if they're in a leadership position, a high
Mhm.
position in the country. They can, impose that kind of attitude, feeling, and behavior on the whole country,
Mhm.
world, the world, which is happening now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're aware and they need to be given the chance because they are young. They're not 35, repeatedly doing criminal acts, and they are asking for it.
Mhm.
There is a therapy, I don't know if just bring it up. I heard of a therapy for older, no, maybe not older, but social for people who do criminal acts, parang who can turn out to be sociopaths or maybe are becoming sociopaths. They call it perspective taking therapy. What they do is they show the criminal, I think these are more adults na, criminal, the impact of a violent behavior on the victim very, very clearly so that something is touched in them na ang laki pala ng harm na gagawa.
Mhm.
So they get the perspective of the one that's being victimized. I don't know how effective that is, but it's worth looking into.
Yeah. Mukhang
Because
talagang
the problem of sociopaths is they don't see first of all, they don't even uh, aim to see the feeling of the other person. And they don't have the conscience to prevent them from doing the criminal act. Wala
So
silang pakialam.
no empathy and no conscience.
Yes, no empathy. That's it.
So sounds like you're saying that the better way to deal with kids who get involved in these violent incidents is it more of like rehabilitation?
Yes,
Mm-mm.
yes.
Mm.
A center, a place where, as you said, they're safe and they're given the opportunity to change their behavior, helped in not committing the same behavior. And the good thing is they still have regrets. So we catch them there, and they're not seasoned criminals who don't feel any regrets, who don't feel, as you said, any empathy, who don't feel guilt at all. Huwag sana umabot doon.
Hindi pa hardened, parang ganun.
Hindi pa hardened, that's the word. Hindi pa sila hardened. So importante talagang mag-intervene
Yeah.
at that age.
Naalala ko, just to share, because my dissertation had to do with youth in conflict with the law and
Yes.
using the arts and writing, no? So naalala ko yung ginawa ng isang participant ko na may dinrawing siyang wall tapos may nakasulat doon na parang graffiti, matino. Pero ang sinabi niya, yung pagka-describe niya sa drawing niya, sabi niya, mukha lang akong matapang o maangas, pero kaya ganun, dahil gusto ko lang matakpan ng kahinaan ng loob ko. Dahil ayoko na tapakan ng pagkatao ko.
Wow, that's really so telling.
Mm.
Ayokong tapakan ng pagkatao ko. Wow.
Yeah. And parang it's through the arts na he was able to reveal that vulnerability that he has inside. No?
It's a beautiful insight coming from a young person.
Mm.
No?
Yeah.
Dapat pakinggan yun. Ganun. At saka importante yung sa abuse, yung wag tapakan ng pagkatao ko. Diba? That's what you're talking about, humiliating,
May pinagdaanan,
harsh.
obviously may pinagdaanan siyang ganun.
Bullying in a way, or punishment, harsh punishment, humiliating punishment, pagkatao, my dignity, my person, my worth, parang ganun sinasabi niya.
Yeah.
Coming from a young person that could be a big, poster for the entire country.
Yeah. So talagang kailangan more positive influence, positive na models. Speaking of the other side naman of that, no? Kasi it seems like this is what's happening. And you said this earlier, na the role of social media, maybe people who exploit kids online sa mga games. No?
Yes.
So at least based on the news, mukhang there really is a group na international, I don't know how many groups, it's just one or even more, no, na parang really taking advantage of kids online. No? Maybe they really get to pinpoint sino ba yung mga pinaka-vulnerable, ano ba yung pwede nating i-influence na maging mas extreme, violently extreme. No?
Yeah, that's scary. Ano nga ang pangalan nun?
NVE, nihilistic violent extremism yung
Yun.
tawag. But I believe the group is 764.
Okay. But think of this, a group that's purposely come together, people come together precisely to sow violence, to instill and teach children violence, do violence to children at the same time, teaching them how to be violent. That's a very scary thing that's happening in our society. And I think they've done some harm already that has been known to be connected with some events, violent events that have happened in some schools.
Apparently nga, again, based on the news, baka interconnected talaga yung sa Tacloban and then sa other places in the country.
Yes. In the world na, no? Parang it's a world. I think it's a worldwide has a worldwide impact na.
I think sa Canada, that group has been already called labeled as a terrorist group.
Yeah. That's also a good thing for some countries, like Canada did that. Australia's banned social media from 16 and below. I think we also need to have laws and rules like that in society to help families and schools and individuals not be victims of this violence or not be learning to be violent themselves, doing violent acts themselves.
So ano tingin mo magandang rule in terms of social media and online gaming for the kids here in our country?
Yeah, it's a complex thing because, of course, how can parents, the first thing you think of, how do parents regulate? And it's not easy at all for parents. I really empathize with parents with young children because you cannot 24 hours, 24/7 watch your children. You cannot be so, it's a complex thing. Oh, it can be done, limit, of course, we always say that, limit. That's one, no? But going down the line, I dare say that we can also start teaching our children self-regulation from an early age. Let's not judge them as totally incapable of learning to discipline or police themselves. I've seen some children who understand the situation and who avoid it and say, I'm not looking at my social media. I deleted my social media on their own. And then they say, why did you do it? Because it's causing me a lot of stress. I cannot sleep at night and my thoughts are so vivid. The children themselves, 14 something years old, 12, say that, no? And then what happened? Well, my classmate asked me why you deleted it, and said, because I want to rest now. I'm more peaceful, and I'm not anymore. My thoughts aren't anymore so hyper. And then the classmate said, "Oh, that's good. I wish I could do that." You see, these people are also children themselves are asking for help. It's not like these children are doing this, we help them. We also include them in the system of how this violence can be dealt with. Let's not make them just, parang tell them what to do. They have their own minds. They have wisdom too, and they can regulate themselves at a certain age if we look at them as people, as having wisdom themselves, the wisdom of children. I think we must not also discount that. Kasi in most of the conversations that we see, lagyan natin sa mga bata, gawin mo to sa bata, gawin mo sa bata, parang yung bata, ano ba siya? I think we really, I don't know, this might sound soft to some of the people there, but I think children deserve to be listened to, deserve to be heard, that, and also must be seen as having something to say. My 2.5-year-old son taught me how to do my job as a mother, that kind of thing. We need to change our cultural belief that gawin natin sa mga bata. Gawin natin sa mga bata. Ganun lang, no?
And there's imposing.
Yes, authority imposed. Parang the children are just clay that you can mold. I think we have to debunk that myth right now. It's not true. Children have their own minds, and they can be taught, they can be allowed to take care of things, and so as long as you know how to listen to them and talk to them and respect them also. Yun yung hinihingi ko kasi kulang tayo sa ganun.
Oo, lalo na yung respect. Palaging, maririnig natin yung adults, wala nang respeto yung mga bata. Pero ang ganda rin tingnan, may mutual respect rin ba? Do the children feel that they're also respected, diba?
Exactly.
Hindi lang siya one way. If you want respect, you also have to give respect, no?
Exactly. Respect begets respect. Violence begets violence. Mga ganun.
Yeah. It's good to start a cycle of respect.
Yes! Versus a cycle of violence. Galing talaga.
Yeah.
And respect is one of the most core values that we have kind of like set aside. Mag-usap ang mga tao, for example, even in interview, mayroon iniinsulto na yung tao. Parang normal na. Before, I remember when I was younger, I would not hear on media, even in what's not social media, but what's the media? Na TV, media, okay. That but I would, when in public, hindi sila nag-iinsultuhan eh. Ngayon parang wow, sabi ko, pwede na ba lang magsalita ng gano'n in public while you're being filmed, while you are shown in general public, magsiinsulto ka, parang mumura ka. It's so, again, disturbing that it's happening. These are our role models of our youth who want to look up to people who are respectful, who deserve to be respected. They need that. It's not just that we want them, they want it too. The children also want it. They need it and they want it.
Ang ganda ng example mo, ma'am, about the child regulating himself or herself from exposing themselves to social media. I've been hearing that a lot lately, actually, with my younger clients. Na parang there's this movement, there's this backlash towards being sucked into the online world, na parang social media. I think, and it gives me a lot of hope to hear na the younger generation do recognize na even social media, it's all, all these big corporations who are earning from it, and they want your attention as much as possible. If they can get your attention 24/7, they will. No? So talagang there's a recognition of that, and there's an awareness na parang ayoko na. I wanna live. And some even like, of course, they never experienced it. Yung mga yung growing up na walang internet and like
Mm-mm.
playing outside. No?
Mm-mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
Interestingly, I hear some of my younger clients yearning for that, Ren.
Yearning, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Sabi kasi nung isa, in that I quoted nga, I feel more safe now. I feel more peaceful now. Ganon. Oh, sabi naman nung classmate, oh, I want to do that too. Can you help me do it? So there's that beginning of a, shall we say, quiet revolution, positive revolution among the young people themselves. So let's not judge that. Yung mga batang to, ganito sila, turo na lang natin ganon. Yung nakakatakot yung one-way authoritarian, rigid kind of imposing your discipline in that way. It backlashes.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. I'm just looking at some of the comments here.
Yeah,
Interestingly,
please.
hello to everyone we have a lot of people listening in from Naga. So good
Oh,
morning to everyone. Meron from Apayao,
nice.
iba-ibang lugar, no? Meron from Santa Cruz Elementary School, Naga City.
Mhm.
Not sure how, sana masabi ko ng tama. Salang Guigui Elementary School, Naga City. So, maraming from Naga. Hello.
Nice.
Meron from Iloilo, Leon National High School.
Mm.
Mm-mm. So, nationwide rin. Thank you for tuning in. Meron SDO Victoria City. Yeah, and then some comments also. Ito naman, agreeing with you. Yes, it takes a community to develop a holistically healthy child. And then may nagtatanong, where can I get a copy of the paper, The Passionate Compassion? Passionate, ano ba yun?
Discipline.
Discipline, oo.
Compassion, discipline.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
it in, do we have it in our, no, we have it in our files, no?
Maybe we can just post that.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
we can post it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good question. We will be eager to share that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I think we've discussed so much already, and maybe we also need to reserve some for the actual parenting academy event. So
Yeah.
supposedly patikim to, pero actually malaman na siya. But are encouraging people to really well, see us face to face, and we want to hear from you, Ren. You can ask your questions during our event. Maybe I will post it again after this. But before that, Mom, is there any like last thing that you want to be able to share? Maybe something in relation to what can give us hope about what's happening now.
I was gonna say that what gives me hope is really seeing the young people assert themselves, maybe through music, express what we all want to express. One of the songs there that expressed clearly towards one senator was very, very creatively done, very, very expertly done, just so well done, the song and the singer and the composer, that it's so effective. So I think the hope is really in the youth. I mean, it seems trite, but right now I see, for example, the most concrete way that everybody knows, most concrete thing that happened is that they violated the survey that said that all these people would win in the Senate. They put in two people who are not in the survey, and usually, almost always, the survey is what's followed. So they were the first time voters with fresh eyes, and they were brave enough to not follow the prescribed survey. They were not afraid to vote on the people they felt were more worthy of being in the Senate. And I think that's one, but also the awareness that you said, that the awareness that yung talaga marami nagsasabi, young people, I deleted my social media. I don't have that anymore. Parang from them, no, they realize how stressful. Yun ang na-pick up ko. I'm so stressed. My thoughts are so active. My mind is too active. I can't control. And then he connected with his binging, not binging, being addicted to social media. binging.
Mm-mm.
And I
Oo
think I want to emphasize what you said, that the creators of this ano ba tawag yun, games programs,
Developers?
developers,
The online
uh,
games?
yeah, are the currency they're getting from you, from us, is attention. So
Mhm.
there's a Facebook, very, very attractive, not Facebook, let's say, yeah, Facebook, but YouTube, I experienced it myself. So and so shocks, ganyan, ganyan. You watch, but they will not tell you until the end. Look at how it's
Mm.
constructed. So you have to watch till the end. When you watch till the end, they earn more. If you stop it, they earn less. It's all attention equals money.
Mm-mm.
It's very clear. The bottom line is money. And we are being manipulated. Our children's even I mean, I'm at 82, I'm now more distracted than I ever was.
We're all
Unbelievable.
vulnerable to doom scrolling.
Yeah, doom
Oo.
scrolling,
Mm.
grabe. What am I? I'm spending so much time looking at this already. I
Mm-mm.
mean, I'm a mindfulness practitioner. I'm so aware, etc. Why am I still caught in this? Can you
Mm-mm.
imagine younger people? And
Mm-mm.
so the insight they're having now, I think, just reinforce it. Let's give more credit, or more space, or more affirmation for what the young people are doing. Let's not bash them all the time. That's the wrong way to even make them go towards the positive. Because right now, marami tayong kalaban.
Mm-mm.
Who are the role models? Will they look for, emulate, to emulate? The role models that are always flashed on media, even social media and legit media ba tawag dun, but the media, maybe 90% are what we don't want our children to become.
Mm-mm.
Lying, shouting, manipulating,
Mm-mm.
being sneakily splicing media, videos.
All sorts of
Wow.
gimmicks, no? Tapos wala pa din yung AI. Hindi mo pa nabanggit yung
O
AI.
pa, yung AI pa, grabe.
Fake news, fake
Yeah.
videos.
So
Mm-mm.
I also want to somehow appeal to the older people, to the adults, to look at the young people in terms of the context that they live in now. Kasi sinasabi natin, bakit nung araw, wala namang ganon. Mga bata, ganito. Yeah, the world they're living in is totally so much different from the world I lived in. I would play in the streets. My parents were not worried that I would get kidnapped or get hurt and come home at when it's dark, we come home to eat, we play outside because there was no social media, there were no smartphones, we play with, I mean, there was no, the set, before, I remember how we respected the government officials, sorry, but at that time, with somebody, a young person, we say the son of this family I know, exhibiting brilliant qualities and good values, pwede mag-senador yan. It's not, we're not able to say that now. I cannot say it anymore. Sorry, but I cannot say it anymore. Before, I would, yan, pwede mag-senador kasi ang tatino, mabait, and ganon. Tama ang mga ginagawa. So now, let's also understand and be compassionate while teaching the young people the core values. Let's also understand their situation. If you live now, if you're a child now, what are you dealing with that we never dealt with before? Not in my wildest dreams did I ever think of the social media, the violence, the insulting, etc. Wala yun nung kasi. So with all that context, reality around them, let's consider it when we are, giving them wanting them to have these values, teaching them, going back to core values nurtured in our families, first of all, and integrity, building integrity, how it is built. Those things can be done. And because we also believe that the young people can learn it or have learned it, but can stop doing what they are imitating from the adults. We can also, have that kind of attitude
Mm-mm.
towards the young people. I would like to. There's some remarkable young people that are, not affirmed. They
Mm-mm.
also need our affirmation, our recognition that they are trying to do this and they have creativity and smart ideas that we can reinforce,
Mm-mm. Yeah,
nurturing.
it's really,
That's
yeah.
my
Mm.
feel of it, my stand on it,
Mm-mm.
working with young people.
Yes, thank you for that. That's such a good reminder, no? That one
Mm.
about the context, kasi madalas pa rin marinig na, bakit ng bata ako, bakit, pero the thing is, hindi natin makukumpara yung
Ang
panahon
hirap.
natin sa panahon nila. Iba talaga. That's
Yeah,
one thing we need to accept. It's different now.
mm,
And then, from what you're saying, parang nakita ko is that what's happening now maybe, and because also of the influence of our technology, it's happening fast and like so
mhm,
subliminally, a child can be drawn to violence and extremism. But at the other end, we are also seeing children who are being mature enough to be aware of what's happening also and to want to
mm.
regulate themselves, who are also
Yes.
craving for maybe adults to show them these values. And they also drawn to that as well. And parang yung point na gusto mo talagang to come across is with that happening, the important part is let's listen to them, let's give them
Mhm.
value, and that can dictate which way they will go talaga.
Yes,
Mm.
perfect. Yes, yes.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Oh,
Mm,
thank you so much, ma'am. We talked about so much, but we will talk about so much more in our Parenting Academy event.
yeah.
So before we end, I'll just flash the poster again, the save the
Yeah.
date, no? Just to remind everyone to please, we'd love to see you here in our event. So
Yes.
Parenting Academy is an annual event that MLAAC does. This year's theme is Let's Protect Our Children's Mental Health. How to prevent violence in our families, schools, and communities. So please save the date. That's on September 5, 2026, Saturday, 9 to 11:30 a.m. at the Mind Museum BGC Taguig. And the Mind Museum is also our co-presenter.
Yes.
All
I
right.
see you there, huh?
Hope to see you all
Hope to
there.
see you all there.
And so
Bring
you
your
can
friends.
ask questions also. Okay.
Yes. Uh-oh.
All right. Again, thank you for everyone who's tuned in and
Thank
for
you.
everyone who's gonna watch the recording. We will post this in our FB Live and also our YouTube channel.
Okay.
All right. Until the next
In the next
FB Live.
one. Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ron.
you. Thank you,
Okay.
Chris. Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
everyone. See you
See you.
September 5.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.